You are not audible, Mr. Nilotpal.
Hello. Can anybody confirm
Yes.
if I'm audible?
Yes, yes, perfect, perfect, perfect.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
So happy to have you, Mr. Nilotpal, this afternoon. Happy to see
Sir,
you.
as I said, it's all been my pleasure to be able to uh, have a few words with you all.
Yes, yes. So we'll start maybe in a couple of minutes, Mr.
No problem. No
Nilotpal. We'll
problem.
wait for you.
Absolutely.
I think we can start, Mr. Nilotpal. I will give an introduction and then we will go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Very good afternoon to dear students. Today is yet another day with an exciting lecture. So, on behalf of the student staff and the principal of IHM Chennai, I welcome Mr. Nilotpal for this webinar. Sir has kindly consented to be our resource person, and Sir would be sharing his views and knowledgeable inputs on cocktails, past, present, and future. And dear students, it will be a great thing for us to also know about Mr. Nilotpal Bhattacharya. So, Sir started off with Vivanta by Taj Hyderabad as an food and beverage associate in the year 2013, and his hard work and his perseverance was very much recognized, and that took him to be the position of team leader in 2015 itself, and joined Park Hyderabad in 2016, where a year later was promoted as an assistant manager and worked for over 3 years with Hyatt. And Sir had joined Renaissance as bar and beverage manager in August 2019. And it is really impressive to know that Sir have been national finalist of Monkey Shoulder Ultimate Bartender Championship 2017, Belvedere Relearn Natural 2018, and Remy Martin Bartender Talent Academy 2019. Sir, I am sure in the country there could not be any other young manager like you. I think you have made a very quick career in your life. You have climbed up the ladder so fast, and so much of accolades you have with you, sir. You have been the finalist of so much of internationally reputed championships. So we are really honored to have an accomplished person today as our resource person. Thank you so much for giving your valuable time and choosing us to invest your time with us, sir. I'm sure our students will be richly benefited. Once again, I welcome you to this webinar, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Eugene and Sanal, for putting this together. And I'm really honored to be part of this. Uh, and thank you so much for this great introduction. So, uh, so can we start now?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Yes.
Hi, Sanal, can you put up the presentation?
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, just a minute, sir. Apparently, I'm
No
facing
problem.
some technical issues.
No issues.
I hope everybody can see the presentation.
Yes, I can. The rest of the people, if they can confirm it through chat box.
Cut this shit.
Yes, sir. Everyone else
Yes,
can
everybody
see
can
it. I
see.
think you can start.
Absolutely. So, good afternoon, everyone. As you all know, my name is Nilotpal, and I am the bar and beverage manager for Renaissance Bengaluru Race Course Hotel. And I have been working in this industry for past 7 years now. And yeah, like pretty much my journey has been covered. So today, the topic that I have chosen to share with you is evolution of cocktails or mixed drinks. So this is something that you will not find in any textbooks or in any particular website. So this has been accumulated from different websites, different because it is all of different timelines, and these timelines were not recorded in our industry. So this is something that I absolutely want to share with you because this is something which you will not find in directly rather easily. So the term cocktails. So the history of cocktails or history of mixed drinks, it comes, it has been there since I guess 1200s and 1300s, when the first mixed drinks were ever prepared. There were different forms of it, but yes, they were never recorded or there was no proper recipes accumulated for that. The first recorded recipe of cocktail, the first recorded term which was used, cocktail, was first found in 1798, which was in a British newspaper. But that was never defined as what the term cocktail is actually until 1806, when a American newspaper termed cocktail as a beverage composing of four essential ingredients, which is basically a liquor of any kind, sugar, water, and bitters. So these are the four basic essential of cocktails that was first defined in 1806. And the first cocktails to be of this kind were the old fashioned. Old fashioned has exactly the same number of ingredients. It has a whiskey, it has bitters, it has some dilution of the water and sugar. So these were the only first ingredients in the first form of cocktails. The other example is a Sazerac, which was being made with cognac. So this is all it started during early 1800s. And these were also vulgarly called as bittered slings because the bitters was used a lot during those times. Can we go on to the next slide? Yeah. So the term cocktail, how the term cocktail was came into existence. So there are different stories behind it. One of the most famous one that you'll find rather easily in internet is there was a lady who used to run a small inn, and she used to make drinks for the colonial soldiers. And one evening, while she was making a drink, she garnished it with a cock's tail, and people say that that was the origin of the term cocktail. Some other words that other stories also tells that French used to drink through egg cups. They used egg cups and they used to call it cockatier. So from the term cockatier, the cocktail word came into existence. Another very primitive version of cocktail was called as punch. So punch is very native to India because punch, the word punch comes from the Hindi word panch, which is essentially the 5 ingredients that were being used during the you can say pre-colonial times. The punch was essentially a spirit of any kind, water, tea or spices, sugar, and some dilution. So this was called as the punch. So punch was also a very primitive kind of a cocktail, which came into being, which started rumored to be started in India, and then it reached to Europe through the colonial British people, and then it evolved all around. Next slide, please. So now we come to the timeline. So how the cocktails actually started evolving. The first book which was printed on cocktails was by Professor Cherry Thomas, who is known to be the father of mixology, and he compiled together a book of recipes in 1862, which is called as the Bon Vivant Companion, or How to Mix Drinks. So this was the first known cocktail book that was ever published in the history. And this again was in 1862. By this time, ice had started coming into US. The ice, by this time, we were not having ice machines in the bars like today. There were no, ice was a thing of very rich people can afford. And then there was this gentleman called as Frederick Tudor, which is also known as the Ice King. So Frederick Tudor, he started a business of selling ice. He used to get the ice from the northern, like Greenland and the northern part of the United States. And he used to bring it and sell it to the United States, Cuba, and other countries all around. So this is how the ice came into the cocktail picture. And right by this was a big boom to the cocktail industry, because now the cocktails can be served cold, which were earlier not the case. So a big credit goes to Mr. Frederick Tudor, sorry. So this was all around in 1800s. And after that, when we reached 1900s, that was the time when things started going sideways. By this time, people, the bartending industry in US was pretty popular, and people started taking it as a profession. But as soon as 1900s came, the first thing that hit was the First World War. And the focus of the entire world shifted to wars, and nobody was interested in going out to bars and all this. And all these bartenders who used to be there, they were supposed to go to war. Just hold on a second. Audible?
Yes, sir.
I'm audible, guys? Can anybody confirm?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
I might tend to go a little fast. So if there are any doubts, please stop me and ask any questions if you have. So as I said, the World War I came with all the people, all the young generation, they were forced to go into wars during that time in the United States. So a big chunk of the bartender population were part of the wars. Then came in after the World War, exactly right after the World War came in the Prohibition. Prohibition was in United States declared in the year 1990, wherein the sale of liquor, production of liquor was completely banned. And there were no production of liquor, and people were not allowed to drink alcohol. So this lasted for 13 years in the United States. And what happened during this time is the rise of a particular style called a speakeasy. So speakeasies were basically from outside they will have a different case altogether. Like there would be pharmacies, there would be grocery shops, but inside there would be a hidden door where people go inside and drink alcohol. So this came into a rise in US, which became a very popular trend later on, which is called as speakeasies.
By this time, as there was no alcohol available for the US public, most of the bartenders also traveled to different countries. Like many of them traveled to Europe, many traveled to Cuba, which is very close to US, and they started bartending there. And Cuba became the drinking hot capital for the elite class. And there was the Bacardi, who was a major player of this game, and Bacardi promoted Cuba as the drinking hot capital for the United States. It was just a 3 hour flight from Miami to Cuba, and people to go for their weekends and spend their time, have party, and then come back to US. So it became the drinking hot capital. Soon after that, the Cuba was hit by the Cuban Revolution, which again was another disaster. And then the World War II came in, which is in 1939 to 1945. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so by this time, after the from 1900s to 1945, so during this time there was such a big break of bar trends in the entire United States, which was the birth of mixology or the cocktail making scene. And most of the bartenders were either they have traveled to different countries, they have traveled abroad, they started working in different countries, or mostly they have died in the wars. And the most unfortunate thing that has happened for the bar industry and the beverage industry is, unlike the chefs or the kitchen, wherein they used to write the recipes, they were recorded books. The bartending had never had any recorded books. The only book by that time was in the US available was the Bon Vivant Companion, which also again was lost somewhere because of all this. So in the year 1893, the American bar at the Savoy Hotel opened. So why it is called as American bar? Because the Savoy Hotel wanted to open a bar which was more of an American style. So that was a different trend they wanted to start. Europe was copying up with the bar trend to become like US. But obviously, after that, as soon as the 1900s hit, the United States went sideways, and the Europe became the new cocktail hot capital. The mojito became very popular coming from Cuba, and the other cocktails like Cuba Libre and Daiquiri during the Cuban Revolution time. The history of mojito goes, it's like in early 1500s, there was a British sailor whose name was Mr. Francis Drake. So this British sailor, he was sailing to in the Caribbean, and there was a disease that hit all his crew, which is known as scurvy. Scurvy is basically the lack of vitamin C. So at that time, Mr. Francis Drake, he found a medicine. So he used a primitive rum, which was called as aguardiente, which is the ancestor of rum. Before rum became refined, it was the primitive age of rum. So he used rum, he used some mint leaves, some lime, and mixed it together. And he used to give it to all his crews in the ship, which said to cure the scurvy. But that time, ice was not available. When the ice came in, the ice business flourished, the mojito was introduced based upon the same recipe. Post Second World War, when it was over, there's another trend that came in, and this was started by a gentleman called as Ernest Raymond Beaumont Grant. He is also popularly known as Don the Beachcomber. So he started a bar in Hollywood, so which is known as by the name as Don the Beachcomber. So it started a new culture, which is called as the tiki culture, and followed by another gentleman called as Trader Vicks. So these two bars started a new idea of tropical style drinks based on rums, and this became a very instant hit in US. Next slide, please. Okay. So next comes the 1950s. So post 1950s to 1980s. This is a time in the history of cocktails which is called as the dark age of cocktails. Mostly because, as I mentioned earlier, all the original bartenders, they were no more there in United States. Now, when the drinking culture is again resumed, anybody and everybody started becoming the bartenders. And there was no recorded recipes. There were no recorded recipes even for the drink like old fashioned or Sazerac. And people started making anything and everything. It was in 1950s when the vodka was introduced to US, and vodka was an instant hit in the market of US, mainly because if you drink vodka, there was no smell coming out of it. So it became an instant hit because of there was no like people were not able to judge whether you were drinking and driving, or the males could drink it and go home, wherein their wives cannot detect if the person was drunk. So it became an instant hit among a cult population. And in the year 1962, the Vesper Martini, the Martini was always there in the cocktail history since 1800s, but the Vesper Martini, which became popular from the James Bond movie, the James Bond novel. So the Vesper Martini came into being because there was now vodka available in the market, and people started making martinis with vodka. And by this time, there was rise of different drinks like Long Island's iced tea, Harvey's Wolfganger, and all these drinks which are like strong, potent, lot of fruit juice, lot of sugar, because people wanted to just drink and get drunk. So there was no quality ingredients being used. People were using sweet and sour mixes, any kind of juices, and all this became a big hit because people just wanted to get drunk at that point of time. Then comes the disco era, 1917 to 1980s, all colorful drinks, blue curacao, apple martinis, and all these things. Again, colorful, strong. That's what people wanted. Next slide, please. Then finally, in the decade of 1990s, few people in the industry, they thought that the bar industry is not what it is in the line of, and they should do something different. The first in the lines, and these are the people known as Dale DeGroff, Julie Reiner, David Wondrich, Gary Regan, Sasha Petrosky. So these are the people who actually went back, did some research, learned the original recipes, came back, and started their own bars or started working in bars and made their name. Dale DeGroff, the legend, worked in the bar called the Rainbow Room that you can see. So he popularized the cocktail, the Cosmopolitan. So he was said to be the inventor of Cosmopolitan. Then bars like Employees Only, Milk and Honey, Death and Co, PDT, these all came in late 1990s and early 2000s. And this actually shaped the current bar world, how the drinks has been and how the industry has evolved. So these people, they actually wanted to make a difference. They were making the drinks in a more original way, using fresh ingredients, using healthier ingredients, not like pre-marketed juices and all this sort of stuff that you get in the market. So this era was known as the era of craft cocktail, which was in early 2000s. Next slide. So coming on to the recent decade, these are the few people whom you can follow on your Instagram. Like Mr. Eric Lawrence, he was the 10th head bartender of American Bar. Steve Schneider, who co-owns Employees Only. Matt Wiley. Matt Wiley is an Australian gentleman who used to play cricket for the Australian team, and now he is a very celebrated mixologist. Aggo Peroni works in a bar in London, which is known as the Connaught Bar. So he's the director of mixology for Connaught Bar. Luke Wirthy, he owns a bar in Sydney, very recently opened, called as Birdie. Agung Prabhu is a gentleman from Hong Kong, and his bar was last year the best bar in Asia, and there's a number 2 bar in Asia, which is called as the Old Man, Hong Kong. Jay Khan, 2020 Asia's bartender. He owns a bar called as Koa. This bar focuses mainly on tequila and agave spirits. And here you can see these are the list of some Indian bartenders who are making it big currently, starting from Mr. Devendra Sehgal, who's there in the picture. He works for a bar in Hong Kong called as 8.5 Otto and Mezzo Campana, owned by an Italian chef. Then there's Mr. Arjit Bose, Pankaj Balachankar, Namir Kumar. So these are the people who are who have started the trend in India and who are making a big difference. So as you can see, Mr. Rohan Matmari, he works in a bar called as the Sidecar, which has been the number 40 best bar in Asia currently from India, and it's the only bar from India which makes it to the Asia's top 50 list. So these are the people whom you should be following in Instagram, starting from both the international list and the Indian bar list. So to end the entire concept, I would like to show some pictures as Sanal has compiled. So these are the modern trends of drinks. As you can see, the drinks currently are very simple, very minimalistic. On the left, the extreme left, the drink that you see is from Scout London. The drink is very clear, a very simple glass, a large block of ice, and a very minimalistic garnish. So the trend that you see currently in the world, it has gone back to the simplicity. So we no longer over garnish our drinks. We no longer use ingredients which are like, say, super expensive. People try to use ingredients which are local. All these bartenders, all these bars, they focus on local ingredients. Sustainability is the big topic. So sustainability is basically using an ingredient to its maximum. Say we use watermelon, we eat watermelon. But when we eat watermelon, we throw out the skin. What we can do out of the skin? We eat banana, we throw out the skin. What we can make out of the banana skin? Banana skin has exactly the same flavors as the banana. So if you make a banana syrup, or if you infuse the banana peels into a spirit, it will taste like a banana spirit, like a banana vodka or banana rum, without using the banana. So these are the big topics that are currently being in trend. If you follow these bars in Instagram, you will get to know a lot of things. So that is pretty much about the presentation. So right now, if there are any questions that you guys have, I would love to answer that and make it more interactive, please. Okay, that's my Instagram handle. You guys can follow me. And if there are any questions, you can directly ping me on Instagram. I'm very active on Insta. I'll be more than happy to answer that.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for such an informative session. I'm sure all of them really enjoyed it. And now we have a few questions to some of our friends.
Okay, I got a question that how is WSET exam going to help in F&B or bartending career? Absolutely, WSET is a very essential key these days. And the WSET previously in India, the WSET was considered to be a single course. Right now, it has been split into spirits and wine separately. So the WSET level 2 happens in both spirits and wine separately. So you can choose the course that you are interested in. If you want to become a sommelier, I suggest you should go for the wines. And if you want to become into a spirit kind of person, then you should go for the WSET spirit. It is a good certification course for your career, and it helps a lot.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is which Indian
alcohol brands do you see growing and consider among the top best? Currently, as I said, the trends are of using local ingredients and locally focused brands and all. As our Prime Minister also says, vocal for local. I see a lot of Indian brands coming up. Like gin has been a trend since the last 5 years that I have seen. Then gin has been growing tremendously, especially in India. Internationally, it has been a trend since the last decade, but in India, it has grown in last 5 years like anything. And a lot of new brands coming up. Like if need to name a few brands that I love about Indian gins are Greater Than. There's Hapusha from the same family. There's Strangers and Sons. And there are a lot of new brands coming up, which will be launched pretty much in 2020 or 2021, new gin brands. So gin is a big market, as well as vodka. So vodka is also coming back into the market, and there's a new vodka, Indian vodka brand, which is called as Smoke Vodka, which is also becoming big and will be a very big market going forward. Another the Indian whiskey market is already huge, but another thing that I see a lot of scope around is the local spirits. And when I say local spirits, these are like spirits like Feni, which comes from the state of Goa. So Feni is something like, it is like tequila, right? Tequila comes from Mexico, Feni comes from Goa. Nobody else can make Feni from anywhere in the world. So it is a very indigenous spirit. But the only point that we were lacking as an Indian market is the proper marketing. So if we market it, and it also goes to the government, because there are many regulations that restrict us from selling Feni in other states. So if these regulations are being lifted and we as an Indian sell our own brands, this can be the next tequila. Like people are crazy about tequila these days. I see in next 10 years, people will be crazy about Feni as well.
So we have another question of, could you please brief us a little about liqueurs, like pan
Okay,
liqueur?
liqueurs. So liqueurs are basically alcoholic spirits which are being flavored with other ingredients and has a amount of sugar, predefined amount of sugar in it. So liqueurs are very essential in terms of cocktails. Like to name a very few classic cocktails, like the Singapore Sling, which has cherry herring, Rusty Nails, which has Dam Brew, which is a Scotch fish liqueur, and there are many. So liqueurs are they are very essential, and to name a few, they are most essential in the classic cocktails. Coffee liqueurs, yes, coffee liqueurs has been a very essential key for making espresso martinis and many other cocktails. What is the current state of bar sales in the current pandemic? See, as we all know, all the bars across India are closed currently, and there's not much happening around. But yeah, we can hope for the best. As I believe the bars, restaurants, hotels, and the tourism industry have survived, as I said, the prohibition, the World War I, World War II, Cuban Revolution, and all. There are many other like financial crisis and all this, but still it stands strong. So I'm pretty hopeful that this situation will also pass by and will bounce back definitely. How can
So
we make
next,
bitters at home? So there are many techniques of making bitters at home. So bitters, basically you need two ingredients. One is basically three ingredients. One is a bittering agent. You need a bittering agent to make the bitter. Second is a flavor agent. What flavors do you want in your bitter? And the third is the spirit or the alcohol, which will extract the flavor. The alcohol extracts the flavor the max. And unfortunately, in India, we don't get the quality of alcohol that has been pretty much recommended to make bitters. So we need an alcohol which has at least 50 to 70% alcoholic strength to make a proper bitter. But the alcohol strength in India, the law defines it to maybe maximum of 48% max for imported spirits. So on that note, it is little difficult to make bitters from the regular alcohol. But yes, it is not impossible. You can definitely make bitters out of orange peels, grapefruit peels, lemon peels, lime peels, and there are many other ingredients. You can refer to books, a few books which will give you easy recipes to make bitters. One of the book is I personally read is The Curious Bartender. This is by Tristan Stevenson, a very advanced book, a very nice book indeed, and very precise. There's another book which is called as one second. I'll just look for the name. There's one book called as Liquid Intelligence by Dave Arnold, which is again a very nice book, and it captures all the stages of its origin, right from the very beginning. It is a little advanced book, but it gives you a brief idea about everything from making bitters to carbonation to fermentation.
So the next question is on what would be the Angel's share in India?
What would be the angel share in India? The angel share in India, if I'm not wrong, I'm not 100% confident about it, but I think it's somewhere around starting from 8% and can go up to like 12% or 13, 14%. Like in a state like Goa, it is pretty high, but in states like Karnataka, it is, I think, 8 to 10%.
How do we cope on to this industry after the pandemic, and what is your opinion on it?
How do we cope with the industry post-pandemic? See, this is a question that we all are currently, I call it a trial and error method. We all are trying and seeing what steps that we can take, how we can make sure we maintain a proper hygienic standard for our guests. And we are trying to go by the regulations that have been given by the government of India, like keeping tables 2 or 3 feet apart. Maximum seating is like not more than 4 people. Minimum staffing. So are the things that we are trying. Let's see how this goes up. Hopefully, this will take time, as currently the bars and forget about bars, the restaurants are allowed to open till only 9 o'clock in the evening. And when you close the restaurant at 9, you definitely have to take your last order at 8 o'clock, and which means that there is no dinner sales, which is the biggest fraction of the restaurant or bar revenue. So this is a bit tough at this moment, but yeah, hopefully in the phase 2 and the phase to come, as we also see there are new medicines coming up, hopefully that affects and will bounce back for sure. What is your
Thank
signature
you.
cocktail? I have few. You can text me on Insta. I'll give you my recipes. You can try that at home. It's a very easy, locally available ingredients. You can make it at home as well.
So what basic knowledge one should acquire to make a cocktail on their own?
What basic knowledge one should acquire to make the cocktail? See, this is a basic knowledge. As in, you should have the basic knowledge about the spirits, for sure. Then comes the ingredients that you use, and knowledge is something about it's never ending. So right now, also the ingredient that I use regularly in my bar, I still keep learning different angles to use it, like a lemon, in the normal Indian lime that can be used in different ways. So it's all up to you how much you know and how much you can extract out of that food or that particular ingredient. So knowledge is something that will never end, and of course,
So we know that adding cream or milk in any drink is a tricky concept, as if it's not added properly, it can split the drink. How do we
you know that
master and
ice cream,
understand how
milk
to?
in any drink is a tricky concept. If not added properly, it can split the drink. How do we master that and understand to add milk or cream? Okay. So adding a milk or fat to a drink, like say when you talk about cream and milk, one drink that comes into my mind is Ramo Gin Fizz. So Ramo Gin Fizz has egg white, cream, and milk. So the best way to inculcate all these flavors together and make sure that the drink does not split is a good shake. Normally, when you shake a cocktail, you have to shake it for like scientifically proven. It has to be shaken for at least 12 seconds. If above, it does not make any difference. If below 12 seconds, it does not taste good. So 12 seconds is the mark. But when we use egg whites or cream or milk, because it has fat and protein in it, we need to shake it a little longer. So the longer you shake it, the longer it inculcates and mix together. It will not separate easily. The key is shaking. How long do you shake? Like as I said, the Ramo Gin Fizz, the history of Ramo Gin Fizz is the bar which started making Ramo Gin Fizz So they have the line of bartenders, and once the first bartender makes all the ingredients in the shaker, he closes the shaker, he shakes it and pass it on to the other man because his arms get tired. And the second gentleman shakes it and he passes it to the third gentleman. So there were 4 bartenders required to make one single emotion. So it's all about the duration of shaking that is required. There are many other methods, which is one more method which is called as milk clarification. This is something you can do a research about it. It is, I'm sure many of you have learned how to make consomme soup. So something on the similar kind. How a chef adds some egg whites to clear out the soup. The similar technique is being used in making this kind of drink, which is called as the milk clarification. Wherein what we do is we make a batch of the cocktail, and then we boil some milk. Whatever is the quantity of the cocktail, say we make the entire cocktail that's of 1 liter. We take around 500 ml of full fat milk, we boil it, and as soon as it starts boiling, we switch it off, add the alcohol, the milk mixture, which has lime, some citrus. It needs to have some sort of flavor, and all the other ingredients, we mix it, we pour it in the milk. So what happens is the milk starts to curdle up, and we leave it for some time, like say 2 hours or 3 hours. So once the milk is properly curdled, we strain the entire batch of alcohol. So what comes out is the alcohol, the curdle of the milk. It strains out all your colors and all the impurities from the drink, and what you get is a clear alcohol. So this is also another way of adding the milk flavor, the fattiness to the drink, as well as clarifying that color of the drink. So if you can clarify a whiskey, and it can come out to be very white drink despite using whiskey. So it takes out all the colors of the drink.
Thank you so much, sir. Are there any more questions that anyone would like to ask? Please put it in the chat box.
While making a cocktail, what kind of things do we have to keep in mind so that we can make a good cocktail? See, as I said, the things that you have to keep in mind is, first of all, the selection of ingredients. What kind of ingredients are you going to use? Are the ingredients good enough? Is the quality acceptable? So what happens, what has been long happening in the bartending industry, especially in India, is like, we are still okay to use the lemon juice which was being squeezed last night. A lemon juice which has been squeezed for after 4 hours is gone, it's dead, it becomes bitter. We should not be. So the main focus has to be on the quality of ingredients on making a cocktail. Secondly, the knowledge of the spirit. If you're using a vodka, what vodka it is, which country it comes from, what are the tasting notes, what it is made out of. Is it made out of potatoes? It is made out of barley. It is made out of wheat. It is made out of rye. So this eventually tends to the flavor profile of the drink. So you have to know, like, the better you know a spirit, it's better for you to pair the ingredients. It's more like a chef, how he does pairing of the sauce with the food. It's the same way. Like, what kind of fruits will go with what kind of spirit? What kind of spices will go with what kind of spirits, or what kind of fruits? So it is all about the research.
So can you please tell us something about your experience about you being the national finalist of the Monkey Shoulder Ultimate Bartender Championship?
What are the regulations we need to follow by government for starting a bar or a pub in India? There are many. So I can't be able to name out everything, but there are many. Tell us something about your experience about your being a national finalist for Monkey Shoulder and Ultimate Bartender Championship. Okay, so Monkey Shoulder does this competition called this Ultimate Bartender Championship. I'm wearing the hat as well. This is a Monkey Shoulder hat. So this happens every year during the month of May, June. But this year currently it's not happening because of the pandemic. But yeah, so this competition, this is one sort of competition that bartenders love about, because it captures all the essence of bartending, starting from your beverage knowledge, your basics, your cocktail making knowledge, it will test you on your marketing skills as well, like they will give you a bottle of alcohol and they will tell you that this bottle of alcohol, the full bottle cost me say $5,000 and it has like around 120 ml. What will be the cost of that 120 ml? So there are all parameters about it. So after competing for 5 different rounds, they select top 5 and then they have to go through a speed round. And the speed round winners go for the national final. So I competed in 2017, wherein I was lucky enough to be part of the top 3 from Hyderabad, and I went on to compete in the national finals. It was fun. So there are a lot of cocktail competitions. If you guys are interested in bars and cocktails, you should definitely follow cocktail competitions. And when you start your career, try not doing immediately. Say take a year or 2 gap in the beginning. Learn about the industry, learn about cocktails, learn your basics right. And when you know that okay, you are confident, then you start competing for competitions. There are many competitions happening all around, like Bacardi does Bacardi Legacy, which is a rum competition. Then Diageo does World Class, which is World Class is about all spirits. It starts from whiskey, gin, you name the spirit. There's a competition on it. So different rounds, you have to make drinks with different ingredients, different concepts, and different spirits. Then Monkey Shoulder is all about your skills, your both soft skills and your muscle memory. Then comes in, there are many competitions like the Belvedere one that I have competed. So the Belvedere competition was about being natural. So in that competition, we were not allowed to use any artificial ingredients like, say, sugar. The sugar was not allowed to be used in any of the drink. So you have to make ingredients which are very much local or very much natural. So you can definitely use honey. You can definitely use any other sweetener agent like stevia. So it challenges you in a way that sugar has been our always sweetener in the bottling industry. But okay, you cannot use sugar. What substitute you can use? You can definitely use honey. And the final was pretty interesting. They took us to a farm. The 12 of us, 12 bartenders from Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, 4 cities. They took us to their farm and they gave us an hour to find an ingredient from the farm, make a drink out of it with Belvedere vodka. That was the finals, and that pretty much challenges you, like an ingredient, a fruit that you might not know, and you have to use it.
I think
Any
that
other questions,
answers
guys?
the questions. Sir, I guess that's the end of the question and answer session. Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions and giving them all the answers that they wanted. And it was really, really informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nilotpal. That was really a very, very informative session. You have so much of knowledge, so much of exposure, and whatever you could give, you have given to the students. Really, we are happy about it. And it was a great learning experience even for me as well. And I really thank all my students for asking a lot of questions. It shows how enthusiastic they are towards this particular subject. And I especially thank my coordinators, Sanal, Arjun, and Rachna for being as a team and working and doing this in a very perfect way. Thank you so much, sir, for making this day a beautiful one. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to be here and to be able to share my thoughts on with all the aspiring students. And it's been great. Thank you so much. If there's any more doubts or anything that you need to ask, you can definitely ping me in I'll share my number also if in case Sanal has my number. If you want, you can ask me either in WhatsApp, Insta, FB, anywhere. And it's been great, actually. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of IHM Chennai once again, sir.
So it's all been my pleasure. One last question. I see. Sorry, can't find it. One second.
So the skill or knowledge, what one should have to be the first preference for a bartender.
Okay, for me, the first preference is the knowledge, and then you build on your skills. the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, then only it makes sense to have work on it and work on your skills. But if you only have the skills and you don't have the knowledge, then it becomes a machine. Is there anything else, guys?
Thank you for the nice slides, sir. Your slides were very colorful and informative. Really, it was very catchy and very, very much up to the thing. Like, yes.
Thank you so much once
Yes.
again. And also, I would like to say one thing, like, I know these times are tough. There are a lot of things happening around, and a lot of people are getting hopeless about whether my job will remain or not. And in your cases, you will be worried about whether you will get a correct placement or not, whether the hotel industry will open up or not. See, people, what I would like to tell you is be hopeful. Things will turn out for good. This is only a time, this is a phase, and this will definitely pass. It will take some time, of course, it will take a year or 6 months. But after that, it will definitely, we will bounce back. And when we'll bounce back, we'll definitely need a lot of manpower, a lot of people to work with us and to develop the industry. So we'll definitely come back into what we were. It will take slight time because of all this, but please understand, right now our priority is to stay alive and stay home, stay safe, taking care of our family, spend time with our family, spend time with our friends, learn something new, build on our knowledge, and then when the time is right, we bounce back. So that is only thing that I would like to say at the end, and that's all, bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you so much, Pranav, for carefully sliding the slideshows. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch with you, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care. See you all.